International here in Malahide, just on the north side of County Dublin. England were big winners on Wednesday in the first match. We did have sunshine, we had wind on Wednesday, a lovely dry day, but unfortunately heavy overnight rain here. It's light rain at the moment. We should have had an inspection at 1:30. That didn't happen. There are a couple of damp areas on the outfield that are of concern, and there won't be an inspection here in Malahide until the rain stops, and depending on which weather app you look at, I don't know when that's going to be. So no play so far. We've seen a lot of the England squad playing keepy-uppy football in their very dapper purple outfits, so it's a sense of frustration for the few fans who are sitting waiting patiently. It has been and is a sellout, a 4,000 spectator sellout here, but to be honest, there's nearly more umbrellas than human beings, if that's at all possible. Sharing the frustration of the paying spectators are two former Ireland internationals. We've got Greg Mullins, we have Ed Joyce, of course, also had a spell with England. Gentlemen, we're sitting here. We saw some good cricket on Wednesday. We saw an impressive England performance by Phil Salt, of course. Ed, you have been in this situation as a player and a spectator many times. What's the gut feeling? Will we see a ball bowled?
It doesn't look great at the moment. The lack of wind is obviously a bit of a problem. It's got that sort of horrible mizzly drizzle, which seems to be coming down and not stopping very soon. And you're right, the players don't look like they're getting ready for anything. I see some of the Ireland players over the far side there doing some autographs, and the England guys have gone back into the tent and no one to be seen, and obviously the umpire is not to be seen either. So it's not looking particularly good at the moment. Real pity after that first game the other day, actually, because there was lots of good stuff. Really, really good batting innings from Ireland. I thought especially Lorcan Tucker and Harry Tector were excellent in that middle, and then it was Phil Salt assault when they batted. Great start from him and Joss Butler, and took the game away from Ireland that first 10 overs. But then Ireland fought back well, and was really looking forward to maybe seeing more of the Ireland sort of bowling from that second 10 overs in this game, but hopefully we still get a game. I think we can go down to 5 overs. I believe we can go down to 5 overs, so which would be very short, so but hopefully that happens a bit later.
And Greg, as we look out from our little wooden commentary box here with our Perspex window, the square is completely covered, the bowlers' run-ups are completely covered. It's sadly, if you're an Irish cricketer or an Irish cricket fan, it's sadly, certainly in September, a familiar sight.
Yeah, I think that's the disappointing thing for the Irish public here. We've been sort of starved of cricket all year, so I think the Irish public, the Irish players, were really looking forward to a 3-match series. And as you say, Ireland, the weather hasn't really played its part here. Often when you come to Ireland in September, it can be quite good, but we've had good days and bad days here in Malahide, and this looks at the moment to be one of the bad days, and it'll be disappointing for Cricket Ireland, a sellout crowd of 4,000 people, and 4,000 people possibly going home unfulfilled today, but an opportunity maybe on Sunday if the weather does improve. The signs are a bit better for Sunday, but as Ed has just said, the wind is a bit of a factor. We've had a tough old September so far, but the one thing about September has been, it's been a very windy month, and a lot of games have got played because weather patterns have passed over, and it does look today as if it's a steady day of drizzle, and England probably less likely to be keen to get out. Ireland would be mad keen, due to the lack of cricket they've played, to get out and put on a bit of a show for the 4,000 people here today.
And for anybody who didn't hear the game on Wednesday, I mean, the Irish senior men's team haven't played any competitive cricket to talk of in over 3 months. There was a rain affected series at the start of the summer, and I mean, it's just so maddeningly frustrating.
It is tough for the guys, but they're sort of used to it. So it's something that they're quite familiar with, is the lack of cricket. For me, as a fan, as a person who follows the game, it's quite amazing how well Ireland tend to do with limited opportunities. They come against teams often a lot better prepared, and turn them over from time to time. So whilst they haven't had a great preparation, there is always a sneaking chance that Ireland can win one of these games.
So if we do have a shortened, reduced game, do Ireland go in with slightly more of a chance today than they maybe would have had at 1:30 on Wednesday?
Well, the shorter the game, anything can happen, especially if it goes down to 5-10 overs. You know, you're really reliant on one or two players going bananas. You know, but both teams have players who can do that. You know, you'd be very worried about that Sultan Butler opening partnership. You know, England. We did speak a bit the other day about whether England would have some debuts in there as well. Possibly less likely in this. I would have thought they'd probably go with a similar team. Maybe about one less spinner in there because England have brought a lot of spinners over with them. But I do think the shorter the game, you know, anything can happen there. You know, it's one over can make a difference. One over goes for 25. You've got Ross Adair and Paul Sterling, who are equally powerful up the top for Ireland as well. Didn't really get going the other day. And as I said, all it takes is one or two overs in that shortened game to win. I mean, it's just hoping we actually get out there. You know, I'm really hoping that even if it's a light drizzle, that the umpires see how, and the players also agree that this is something we want to see here. And as Greg said just now, our Irish cricket supporters have been starved. You know, really, since June there hasn't been any cricket, and even 2 of those 3 games were rained out up in Breedy as well. So we need this cricket.
But if you're in the England hutch at the minute in the dressing room, Ed, and there's a possibility you might be heading to Australia, not too far away, you're not going to be that mad keen to get out and slip and slide around Dublin, are you?
Possibly less likely. There's a few guys here who could be involved in that Test series. So I think that's one of the things. Is obviously England haven't brought many of the Test players over with them, and this is very much a white ball team, albeit still a very, very strong team. So I'm hoping that's not a factor in the way things pan out today.
And back in your playing career, Greg, were there fellas in the dressing room in a situation like this who were mad keen to get out there? Were there others looking at a grey sky thinking, nah, I'll just keep my slippers on for a while?
Well, certainly I think if you were an Irish player, you're always mad keen to get out when you were coming against players like this. In my day, these opportunities against England didn't come around too often. You probably played a touring team who were playing in England, a Test match series against England would come over and you'd play the odd game. But I think when you've got the Irish shirt on, you're mad keen to get out because opportunities like this don't come around too often. So the Irish guys will still be keen. They won't want to take too many chances if the weather is playing its part and the ground isn't suitable, because they don't want to get injured like any other player. So the conditions will probably need to improve quite a bit on the ground for a game to start. But
there'll be spectators maybe making their way to the ground, maybe sitting under an umbrella at the minute. They might be club players, former club players. They'll all be saying, we would have been out in this at 1:30. Well, that's the funny thing. I've been sort of around the club game long enough, and I think the umpires, my experience, they don't often think about the patrons. They'll be sort of more keen to sometimes probably get a nice report from the players, so they won't want to sort of take too many risks. They have reputations to sort of behold, and also they don't want to see guys getting injured. And there is a step up, of course, at international level versus a club game, so they won't take too many chances. And what's your feeling about the outfield and maybe the wet areas that have been talked about?
Well, I haven't managed to be out there, but it is looking a bit soggy. But there's no visible water, and the rain isn't that heavy. It's just consistent and persistent. So I do think if it stops or even gets down to a very very light bit of rain, that we can get out there. And as you said earlier on, the England boys were out playing a bit of football. The Irish lads are out walking around signing autographs and stuff. So it's not that heavy rain that everyone's stuck inside, and as you said, there are a lot of supporters and stuff still coming into the ground, and it is a sellout. So as I said, I've already said, hoping that if that rain ceases, we can get out.
Joyce, Greg Mullins, for the time being, thank you very much indeed. It's approaching 14 minutes past 2 here in Malahide. It's Michael McNamee in the comedy box, and all of us, spectators, officials, players, we're all hoping to see play here, and we don't have a full abandonment. When there is any play, you will hear it here. Sadly for now, play has been delayed by the weather, but we'll bring you all the action as soon as the match gets back underway. Well, this is Michael McNamee coming to you live from soggy Malahide. The play didn't even get started to let us get back underway, because the second game in the T20 International Series between the Ireland men's side and England has been abandoned without a ball being bowled. I'm sitting here in the commentary box looking out over the site of the covers completely covering the pitch and the square as well. There are only a couple of Hardy fans left in the stands. Everybody else, sadly, is making their way back to their cars and their modes of transport. Not a ball bowled after some heavyish rain in the last hour or so. No sign of a window even to get the water off the covers in the minute, and light was getting poor by the minute as well. So after England's 4-wicket win on Wednesday, fingers crossed for Sunday and the third and final game in the series. Can Ireland level the series? Can England win it? Former Ireland and England batter Ed Joyce is alongside me. Sadly, Ed, when we all arrived here many hours ago, feels like many hours ago, all the weather apps we were looking at turned out to be pretty accurate in the end.
Yeah, they were spot on. It's a miserable view outside the window, isn't it? That the consistent drizzle, very wet outfield, lots of covers and soakers and all those kind of things going around. And it's as an Irish cricket supporter, it's horrible to see fans leaving a sold out game without getting some cricket in. So really, really disappointing. I was really looking forward to today after that first game. Really enjoyed the first game in this T20 series. Lots of good performance from Ireland. Brilliant to watch some of the superstars from England as well, and I thought the fans loved that. And obviously today was sold out. Sunday's also sold out. The weather forecast is looking a little bit better for Sunday, which is great. So hopefully that's right, as today's was, and we get that third game in.
Hats off to the hard-working ground staff here. It's a thankless task when you're hoping against hope to get play underway. Everybody did everything they could. Looking ahead to Sunday, and fingers crossed for a full afternoon's play, what do Ireland need to do and pick up from their performance on Wednesday? And perhaps we'll see a few changes in the England team on Sunday.
Yeah, we might see some changes in both teams. It's the third game, so last in the series, and Ireland's last in a fairly sparse summer of cricket for them, and completely the opposite for England, who had absolutely tons of cricket. So yes, we might see some new players in both teams. Interested to see what happens there. Ben Callett's for Ireland. Obviously, be nice to see him, a left-handed middle order player. Whether we get to see him, the bowling, the first 10 overs there was a real struggle for Ireland. albeit against world-class players. So whether they change things up and maybe go for a bit more spin or something like that, would be good to see. I thought the batting was great. So more of the same would be great. They're probably looking at the pitch and the ground. It is a small ground, magnificent ground here at Malahide. Over 200 looks like a sort of a minimum now against this very powerful England team. But yeah, interested to see who they go with. But I'd be surprised in the last game if we don't see some new players yet. But
just looking at the way the England players got on, they were doing their keepy up football stuff. That there seemed to be a great mood amongst the players. A squad that might never be back together representing England under young Bethel. Yeah, very young captain. We've spoken a lot about Jacob Bethel, 21 years old. What an effort to be captain. And he seemed a bit bemused about the whole thing himself, really, but it's what a nice thing for a 21-year-old to be able to captain his country in big games against Ireland. But they do have some other young players there, and some players who maybe weren't around squads recently. Tom Hartley's their left-arm spinner who did play some test matches and hasn't played much, but is known as a white ball bowler, so he might get an opportunity. And Scott Curry there as well from Hampshire and Manchester Originals in the 100. So he has a really good summer, hence why he got selected here. Big, tall seam bowler and bowls also slower balls. So interested to see if he gets a go. So yeah, it's a soggy day, but hoping for much better on Sunday.